Welcome everyone to What the Force. I'm Marie-Claire Gould, and today with me is my co-host, James Dalton.
Hey everyone.
We have the incredibly talented and gracious Vanessa Marshall, who in addition to being the voice of Hera on Star Wars Rebels, also has the most amazing voice acting career filled with such iconic characters as Mary Jane Watson, Wonder Woman, Black Canary, and Gamora. There's a whole lot more. It's literally too long to read for this podcast.
I will tell everybody out there, if you haven't seen the DC movies she does, they are worth checking out.
Yeah, she has some incredible voice acting credits from the full-length animated DC Universe movies as Wonder Woman, as well as such popular game franchises as Metal Gear Solid. She's just a delight, and we both got to meet her at Calgary Comic Expo when she came.
One of us actually got to go to the panel, the other one had to host his own.
Add person to this call. Vanessa Marshall.
Hey there.
Hi, Vanessa.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
Excellent.
With me today is James, who you met with the 501st.
Hello. I was the tall, bald one.
Good to hear your voice.
Thank you again, Vanessa, for agreeing to be on the show. And James and I met you in Calgary, and we were very excited to meet you. And you could see it on your face how excited you were. Either behind the scenes, James told me that you were really excited, as well as on the panel, just to see kind of Calgary, as well as the 501st gave you some special treatment, which is really great.
Oh, yeah. I had the best time ever. Honestly, I'm ready to move to Canada in general. I am consistently so thrilled every time I go to Canada, but Calgary was really magical. I loved meeting the 501st, the Rebel Legion. There were mercs there. I mean, it was the coolest. It was work, but it was a vacation. And the panel was fantastic. You were great at the panel. It's just, I think it's such a marked difference from America. And I don't mean to denigrate the people of my nation, but I will say that everyone I met in Calgary was just so kind and lovely that I would go back anytime. So Thank you for making it so special.
I think we can say that you probably have a key to the city at this point, especially with the 501st.
Well, I'm really hoping I get to go to the one in Edmonton.
Edmonton Expo.
Here, if I got into the fan expo there, I hope so. I will say it's some of the best beef jerky I've ever known. In Calgary, I wept. I really, the whole time I was signing autographs, the only thing I was thinking about is how can I get more jerky? I mean, it was that good. It's like, I wonder what was in it. It was so good.
Well, Alberta beef is well known to being like very good. Yeah.
Yeah. It healed my soul. So
that's great.
That's what I'm saying. On every level, my trip was awesome. So anyway.
I loved seeing you in a way arrested by Thrawn and Vader and like an entire troop of stormtroopers when you were doing Twisted Tunes in this large auditorium. Yeah.
That was brilliant. Yeah, at the very end, to have them all come in was terrifying and thrilling. Yeah, and then we got to walk through the crowd. It was funny. There were so many fandoms there at the expo, and I remember some Harry Potter fan was walking by us as we were traipsing through. And I said, Hera got arrested. What are you going to do? I was just sort of hamming it up with the 501st arrest. And the Harry Potter fan looked at me and she went, "Big deal." Okay, she probably is an American. Very good. Yeah, that was very funny.
So like I said before, we got to see how much you were almost like really into everything that was happening like around you from a Star Wars perspective. But what makes you fangirl about Star Wars?
Oh, man. I love George Lucas and his understanding of Joseph Campbell and the power of myth and the hero's journey. And I almost majored in anthropology, then philosophy, then religion, because of the stories told within it and the sacred nature of both theater and religious ritual and how we heal as a culture through stories. So for me, the Star Wars saga is one of the greatest stories ever told, and I really think it captures exactly the value of stepping up to the plate and being the hero in your own life and your own story, and why it's so vital to do the right thing. And that even evil and dark characters are not simply that, but there's so much more behind them, as we see with Darth Vader. And thank God for the Clone Wars and all that they gave us in terms of his backstory with Ahsoka. And, when we then get to the prequels and go all the way through the Clone Wars and the movies, that arc for me is just majestic. And I get so much out of it on my own spiritual journey, and it inspires me as a writer. And all the strong female characters also give me the strength to go on. So, I mean, it's just from beginning to end, I love Star Wars deeply. And the fact that there are so many cool fans who are like family, it boggles the mind. I feel so lucky to know of it and be immersed in it and even work for the franchise. It's crazy.
Yeah, you mentioned at the panel that I attended that it was like finding your people when you finally like connected with Star Wars.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I was an only child. I grew up on a block with about 27 kids. So it's not like I was lonely. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, I was kind of a lonely nerd in the sense that I didn't have brothers and sisters. And so in a weird way, Star Wars kind of comforted me through that at times, because everyone else had brothers and sisters. So there were moments where I was by myself.
Yeah.
And so when I got the job doing Rebels, I suddenly discovered all these people on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And then I was able to meet those people in person. Teresa Delgado is one of them, Jonna Marie. There are all these personalities on Twitter who they're my friends for life, There are, oh my gosh, people in New York. We meet every New York Comic-Con and we have Vader tots and hang out. And I know we're going to do that every year we can. So I really did find my tribe, and I am never alone now.
Yeah, I find like once you realize like Star Wars is home, it makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're also a member of the Legion. We're the world's largest family, as far as I'm concerned.
There you go. I really hope I get to go to London Comic-Con in October and meet the 501st over there too. It's worldwide. It's insane. So lucky.
I can say that you deserve the royal treatment everywhere you go. You were so wonderful in Calgary and such a good sport.
I did not want to leave. I really did not want to leave.
So I really find like the more I hear from you, like the more you really are Hera. Like it's really wonderful to like talk to you and get to know you, and especially like just how supportive you are. We just chatted a little bit and I can already see that. And can you tell me a little bit about how you found her as a character?
Well, I think I located the best parts of myself and brought those to the microphone. Yeah, the fact that when I got the audition, it was called Wolf, and I didn't know what it was, but it talked about a light sword and the cause, and it really resonated with me because everything is a metaphor for Star Wars. That I'm in the supermarket and literally everything resonates for me in that way. But in this instance, I decided to plug in what I know about the Rebel Alliance and how much I personally value those things. And there were certain things going on at the time in my country that deeply upset me. And I sort of plugged in a bunch of these variables, and it ignited the part of me that is very much like Hera. And I just let that come through in my read. And I think it translated. And the more specific my choices are as an actor, the more compelling the work tends to be. And I did not phone that in. I really did not think I was doing Star Wars, but I'm very grateful that bringing my Star Wars passion to some Wolf project
which is so Dave Filoni, right? Like,
even that, I know. I thought, but I ran it by a friend of mine who was also auditioning, and they were like, "Yeah, we should live so long, dude. There's no way it's Star Wars. No. People were like, yeah. There's no way this is the Star Wars cartoon. It's a wolf cartoon for Disney. Let it go. So I figured, well, you know what? I'm going to give it my best Star Wars shot, and we'll see what happens. And then I got called back and walked in, and there was Filoni in his cowboy hat, and I had to take a few deep breaths. And I plugged right back into those same things I just mentioned, and I dropped the mic and walked out and thought, that's as good as my life is ever going to get.
So I'm gonna mention something that you mentioned in this panel, and I want you to give me as much as you can because I'm super interested. But you mentioned that at one time you took Dave Filoni aside and you said, "You got to explain this to me." Can you tell me a little bit more about that conversation and what was involved?
The season 6 of the Clone Wars had just come out on Netflix, and my mind was blown by it. And things about the afterlife and Yoda and all these things, my head was spinning, and I never want to take Dave Filoni's time. I never want to fangirl out on him because I don't want him to think, oh gosh, this one, I can privately freak out about things, but I wanted to be professional at all times. But he seemed to be in a particularly chatty mood after we finished recording, and everyone had sort of gone. So I asked him a couple questions in terms of what that season was saying about Qui-Gon and how, Force ghosts and stuff like that. And it was literally like getting a download from George Lucas himself. He just went over the whole episode and the Force is all around us. It's he just like went to like a whole trance, and we were sitting there talking for maybe about 30 minutes, and I couldn't believe that this was happening.
What was your takeaway from that conversation?
Well, for me, it was to never fear death. That there are many ways for life forms to continue, particularly in the Star Wars universe. And that helped me get through what might have been Princess Leia's death in the most recent The Last Jedi, because I wasn't sure how that they were going to handle that. But even when Kanan died in, I hope everyone's seen season 4.
We just assume people who are going to be listening to this are going to be spoilery.
No, spoiler alert. Sorry, guys.
Well, we already covered that episode, so if they're following, sequentially, they're aware and mad.
Right. But it does comfort me to know that perhaps Kanan can come back. I love that Obi-Wan is always around. You know what I mean? There's a lot of comfort in that message, I think.
Yeah, and there's been an expansion in like the canon in that like it's not just these Force users that really have the Force. Everyone has the Force. So even people who maybe don't have the Force are still part of the Force, and you shouldn't grieve for them because they're part of the Force. It's a really wonderful message.
I think so too. Yeah, I don't know. I lived in a haunted house in London when I was 14. So I'm not particularly a fan of that genre because it really scared me. And I don't want to even tell you about it because it's so weird.
I want to hear a story. I'm sorry. You just opened the door.
I don't even talk about it. Honestly, I don't even want to bring that energy around me. It was just very strange. Something had happened in the house where I was staying, and there was an incident with a family member, a murder. And it was terrifying what would happen there at night, the things that would move and this and that. And, I would gladly talk to any scientist who could explain how the wardrobe turned upside down and against the wall.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, dude. So when you start having episodes of, sort of these specters in the afterlife and this and that, you kind of lose me because I just don't even want to think about that kind of stuff. But the way Filoni explained it, it was very comforting to think that there is a way for sort of energy to transfer and transmute and continue to heal people from beyond. And that that worked for me.
Oh yeah, no, it's not about like the haunting, as you would say, but it's about becoming one with something greater than yourself.
Exactly. That was awesome. Yeah.
That's really I think of a takeaway to take away from Dave Filoni. That's a really good one because it helps with like
awesome.
existentialism and all sorts of different quandaries that the human condition produces.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I had a question I was wondering about. You've played some amazing characters. I mean, you've taken on some well-established characters like Wonder Woman. Personally, I love the Crisis on Earth movie. That's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
I mean, you've also done Hera, who was a new character entirely, and you sort of said where she came from. But I mean, you've also done Gamora and all these other ones. Where do you find the inspiration for these really strong characters?
Yeah, I guess from within. And by that I mean my highest self. I am a martial artist, and I've studied a lot of different fighting techniques. So I feel very capable and able to protect myself. I've said this before that I think I fight like Hera. I'm not a violent person, but I take direct aim if anyone harms any of my friends or family. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm wired to protect, not to fight. Wonder Woman is organized in that way. She defends those who can't defend themselves. So there are a lot of attributes in those characters that I really aspire to sort of embody in my own life. And given that I'm making that effort in my own life, I think some of it sort of translates at the microphone. And I think perhaps that's what they hear in my audition, although I'm not exactly sure. But so in a weird way, I'm not perfect, and I have a dark side, a light side, and, I'm trying to be a good person every day. But I think that very effort on my part qualifies me to step up to the mic and take a whack at truly embodying those things in those characters who do it all the time. I don't know if I'm the most dangerous woman in the galaxy like Gamora, but I do deadlift 150 pounds at the gym. So there's that.
Damn.
I know. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's my Italian background, but I come from a strong people.
Well, like you just actually clicked something in me, and I don't know if you've been able to tell, but I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. But what you just said was you try and it's the constant effort. And I think that's something that people don't realize is that in Star Wars and in life, the balance is effort. It is constantly trying to become the best version of yourself.
Well, and here's the other cool thing is that if we take what Yoda said, that there is no try, the fact that you're trying is the doing.
Mm-hmm. You're just doing.
Because the best you can do is good enough. You know what I mean? Because it will only get better. And so...
And I think. Oh my goodness! You blew my mind just now, Vanessa.
Woo!
Is that the Dave Filoni moment?
That's what it's like, kind of. Yeah. Yeah.
You mentioned previously that you do keep up with your fellow castmates, especially Freddie and Sam. You're gonna see them this weekend?
We actually got together last weekend.
It was last weekend. Okay, so it was
last weekend we got together and we played I think is it Legends of the Empire? Is that the role playing game?
Edge of the Empire or Age of Rebellion?
No, I think it was Edge of the Empire. I thought it was the Rebellion one, but it was Edge of the Empire. We have one more episode to go, I think, and we play it on Twitch.
Can you tell me about your character?
Yes. He is an engineer. I chose a male character, Good Times. He's an engineer and is able to program and fix whatever astromechs happen to be lying around. He's got these electroshock gloves that are pretty powerful. I dig them. And he plays with Freddie's character, who is sort of this swashbuckling swag dude, and Steve Bloom's character, he is a droid. And it's funny, Mary Elizabeth, who played Governor Price, She plays a Twi'lek who's this mighty Twi'lek. She's so buff and bad. She's awesome. And she has this massive gun. She handles things. And then Taylor Gray is this massive Wookiee who drinks a lot. So you can only imagine how much fun we have.
What are you enjoying about doing like the Star Wars RPG? Is it fun?
Yeah, it's so much fun. Sam Witwer is a genius. He's such a great DM. I love the way he sort of torments us. It's so much fun how we get in and out of situations. I like that we work as a team. We discuss things, what should be our action and our movement and what we want to do and how do we want to, accomplish things. Plus, it's just silly,
Yeah.
Yeah, like they named one of the Imperials Thelonious, like after Filoni, and there was Moff Gilroy after Henry Gilroy, one of the writers.
Please get Pablo in there at some point, please.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'll do that next episode for sure. Yeah, but if you want to watch it, it's on Twitch and it's called Good Evening and Good Game, or GEGG.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I checked out the episode 2, which was I think a little while ago, but it's just good fun. I love it. So, do you have any recommendations for people who maybe have been reticent to pick up the Star Wars RPG or try it out or to role play in the world?
Oh, go for it. It's so much fun. Why wouldn't you? My goodness. I mean, you can never have too much Star Wars.
I know. Yeah, I'm actually running a campaign for my own family as well as friends, and it is just fun to be silly in Star Wars and remember that there's more stories to be told.
Definitely, absolutely. And that's kind of the cool thing with the RPG is that you can really weave the tale in whichever direction you like. That it's just so much fun.
You could make it connect to the main saga if you want to, or it could be completely a new storyline, new everything, new characters, completely unconnected. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's just great. I mean, I'm so glad we're doing it. And it's wonderful to stay connected to them,
Do you have a character voice that you want to share on the podcast to get people a taste of it?
Oh gosh, since it was my first game, I did not really pick one. They kept telling me to do something, down in here. I just felt absolutely ridiculous. I should have done a voice to begin with. I really was just sort of learning as I went. If we do another one of the games next time, I definitely will. But I love Steve Bloom's character because he talks like this. He's a droid, but he talks like this. And,
he sounds like a New York cabbie.
Exactly. I know. It sounds like someone's grandmother. Yeah.
Oh, someone's grandmother.
Yeah. And he is so funny. No one expects that kind of voice out of a droid. It's no C-3PO, I'll put it that way.
And if I can just pitch it to any of the listeners, playing an RPG is just a really great way to experience Star Wars in a new way. So you've got Vanessa Marshall's seal of approval on that too.
Most definitely.
So, we talked about some of when I met you, I mentioned talking about some of the lessons that Star Wars had taught you, and I really loved the episode where, spoiler, Kanan had died, and we saw all of the different ways sort of a family can deal with grief in all of the different ways, and none are unacceptable. It's just different ways of dealing with grief. And it was just really wonderful to see because it really resonated with me. Did you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because Dave Filoni was very clear about wanting to have the death occur toward the beginning of the season and not at the end, because he really wanted to show families that there is an appropriate time to grieve, and that any family can get through something that is that devastating. And I thought that was really wise of him to do, rather than leave people hanging with Kanan's death at the end of the season. He wanted to demonstrate how everyone could grieve in their own way, and ultimately come out the other end of it with a message of hope. And I enjoyed demonstrating that through the narrative. I thought it was really smart of him to do that.
And especially at a show aimed at kids, it gives an opportunity to show kids, look, grief is okay, and it's okay to feel these things.
Absolutely. It's 100% part of the human experience. There's these rites of passage when one loses a loved one, and there's no right or wrong way to grieve, as you said. And everyone's entitled to that process, and it can pass, and you can get through it no matter what. And they did. And I think for Hera to go into such a deep, dark place of sadness, and then ultimately come through to the other side and have hope again, for me, demonstrated that that's possible for anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that leans into, some of the lessons that we learn from Star Wars. And, I've learned a lot from Star Wars. And I want to say, like, Star Wars is always teaching me something,
Definitely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. My daughter, actually, I told her that I was meeting with you today, and she asked me to ask you about yours and Chopper's relationship because she felt like it was very special.
Aw, that's so sweet. Yeah.
Now we know that Chopper was played by Dave Filoni.
I know. Isn't that awesome? Yeah. Well, her relationship, it's funny. Dave said that R2-D2 was more like the family dog, and that Chopper was more like a grumpy cat. And, the dog kind of always wants to follow you around, and the cat kind of wants to do its own thing. But I thought it was really moving when Hera lost Kanan and Chopper put out his little arm, and, she held his little arm sort of for support. To me, that captured the core of the relationship. But I'll never forget the little animated shorts that we did at the very beginning. Mm-hmm. I remember the way he spoke, or the way she spoke to Chopper while they were in flight. Dave said, "Imagine you're saying this, to your cat, like, I know you want to do this." You're talking sort of to a kid, but it's trying to sort of barter and bargain with an animal that just wants to do its own thing. And so that's sort of where it kicked off. And then for it to end in such a beautiful place with them being so intimate and kind to each other, I thought was really lovely.
If I ever get a chance to meet Dave Filoni, I will have a detailed conversation with him about droid manumission, because I love droids so much, and Chopper is such an interesting droid to just discuss and talk about because of his experience with the Clone Wars and his experience with you. And he has a new short with you. Did you get a chance to watch it? The new Forces of Destiny, Chopper and Friends?
No, I did not get a chance to watch that yet. I'm so sorry. Yeah, thank you for reminding me. I actually have that I have a list about 20 things I need to get done. I haven't seen it, but I do remember recording it, but I wanted to see how it ended up.
It's great. You're strong in it.
I remember I went to look for it, and then the phone rang, and I think I found it, but then I didn't bookmark it. So I need to go back to the YouTube page and check that out for sure.
Yeah, you get those Ewoks involved. Well, Chopper does, and you're like, shrug, might as well go with it.
I love it.
That's awesome. We get she's a princess, I think, from maybe the Ewok movie. Maybe she's in there. We get some good Ewok play, and we get a good play of Yub Nub.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, it's so good.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm so excited. Yeah, I'll have to email you after I watch it for sure.
I would love your feedback, because you're just strong in everything that you do. And I'm like, where's Jason?
I know, that's a good question. I know. I wonder.
Like, hashtag Dave Filoni. Where's Jason in this Forces of Destiny? Seriously. Do you have a babysitter? Who's babysitting Jason? He's only like maybe 5?
At that point, yeah.
Where's Jason?
If I can, I'll ask Filoni next time I see him.
we like, we're concerned.
Yeah, we all are. Yeah, we need to know. Maybe, who knows? My goodness. Well, who would she trust to take care of him?
Oh, it's totally Sabine. He's on Lethal, maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh my God, what is Sabine teaching Jason?
Who knows? Maybe how to dye his hair.
He comes back with even bluer hair.
Oh my goodness. Oh boy. That's awesome.
Well, Vanessa, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
It's been so wonderful. Can you let everybody know where they can find you and what kind of upcoming projects you've got going on?
Sure. Yeah. I've on Twitter, you can find me at Van Marshall. And on Instagram, it's at Vanessa Marshall 1138, an ode to Mr. Lucas.
Yes.
I'm going to be in the Young Justice 3rd season that's coming out as Black Canary.
So excited. I was actually just unwhelmed.
Yay. Awesome. Yeah. And there's another DC project that I worked on recently that hasn't been announced. So I'm excited. Hopefully that'll, be released soon. I don't know when, but and they haven't announced it, so you'll just have to wait. But there are a couple really cool video games that I'm up to that I'm not allowed to talk about, so those will be fun. And just did a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles episode and bunch of random things. I
look forward to your voice wherever I hear it.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much, you guys. Yeah, it's wonderful to talk to you. And I really hope they ask me back again to Calgary. I'd love to come up. And if they do, then we'll make a plan and we can hang and be more organized about it instead of haphazard. But, of course, we'll hang on any level we can. We'll take what we can get.
Whenever they announce Celebration, I will be there. And I know James is already planning.
Very cool. Excellent. I cannot wait. That'll be great.
Thank you again, Vanessa.
It was
really great.
And maybe we can chat again when the Blu-ray comes out, because there's probably Blu-ray special items. I'm not sure exactly when that comes out for Rebels Season 4, but they said that there are all kinds of extras that are really cool, so I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, that would be really great to see from you and hear all your thoughts on everything that happened. And now I've got a question. Question from me to you is, where's Jason to Dave Filoni? Okay, all right. I will get on that. And for our next chat, I'll have an answer. Thank you so much. I did want to make sure to keep in time. So there you go. I actually did it. Yay. Yeah. And happy belated Star Wars Day to you. And hopefully we will talk soon. Thank you. Take care. All right. Take care.
Thanks for coming out.
Thanks. Bye. All right. Bye-bye. That was Vanessa Marshall, James.
I am still grinning like a child. It was awesome.
I was so happy she joined us. I'm just blown away with how amazing she is.
That was awesome.
So James, to conclude this episode, where can they find you?
Well, as with always, I'm working on new toys through Skull's Armory on Facebook, and at Skullflare on Twitter, and pretty much hanging out with 501st. Those are the easiest places to find me, or my basement, one of the two.
This has been What the Force. I'm Marie Claire Gould, your host. You can find us on Twitter at WT Force Show, on Facebook at What the Force. Our website is whattheforce.ca. Our email, if you feel so inclined to email us, is wtforcepodcast@gmail.com. Please, please, please do leave a review on iTunes or any of your other podcatchers. It helps other people find the show. I'm just over the moon that Vanessa Marshall wanted to talk to us. Feel free to reach out to us on Twitter or any of our other platforms and start a conversation. Take care.